devastated. I mean, I love that kid. It hit home. When I heard it, it hit home. And it's sad. It's a sad day.
Whole time. Oh, I love you, big bro.
Well, this one hit home for a lot of folks. Family and friends mourning the loss of 15-year-old Jordan Edwards, who was shot and killed by a police officer while trying to leave a party over the weekend. And now investigators are backtracking some of their initial findings after body camera footage shows the officers may have lied about just how this shooting went down. On Saturday, Balch Springs police officers responded to a call about a house party with minors, and when they got there, Edwards was in the passenger seat of a vehicle that was trying to leave. According to the officers, the vehicle was moving toward them. Well, that's when an officer used a rifle to shoot into the car, hitting Edwards, who was in the passenger seat. But now, the police chief says after reviewing the body camera footage that is not exactly what happened.
I unintentionally incorrect yesterday when I said the vehicle was backing down the road. In fact, according to the video that I viewed, the vehicle was moving forward as the officers approached. I'm saying after reviewing the video that I don't believe that it met our core values.
Well, of course, Edwards' family is demanding justice this morning. The medical examiner's offices ruled Edwards' death a homicide. However, that does not mean anybody's going to be charged. The officer, who has not been named yet, is now on administrative leave. And joining me on FaceTime from Fort Worth, Texas, is S. Lee Merritt, civil rights attorney, and attorney Jasmine Crockett. Both are with the Merritt and Crockett law offices and taking on this case. Welcome. Thanks for chatting with us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
You know, I got to ask you, when you hear that the police are backtracking on whether or not this car was even moving toward the officers at all, could there have been any justification for this?
No, we're used to several sort of coined excuses from law enforcement. Either they saw a weapon or that the vehicle was itself being used as a weapon. And we know that in this case that there was no discussion of anything that even appeared to be a weapon in the car. And so we assume that they would go with the next available excuse, which was the car was being used as a weapon. And I think it was their knee-jerk response to offer that. But they knew that the physical evidence, the video evidence would not back them up. And so they were forced to retract.
What can you tell us about the young man, Jordan Edwards?
You know, I've sat with his family for a long time, and they're really hurting because he was so loved by his community. He was a straight-A student. He was a star athlete. He had just finished his freshman year at Mesquite. He had started with a new football team with a new coach. And actually, just yesterday, they were getting the pads for the first time, and he was looking forward to getting into some full contact practice with his team. He was very loved by the community. I understand that Mesquite High School and his family, the community, are devastated.
The night of that party, what exactly is your understanding of why the police were called to that house in the first place and why there was some confusion or idea that there was any kind of violence going on?
It's our understanding that they were called out to an incident related to potentially underage drinking or just a loud disturbance. We've received information of both. Upon arrival, the kids did like any kids would do. They started running everywhere. So there were kids running everywhere. And that's part of the narrative that's kind of been left out. Not only was this officer firing into a vehicle that had 5 children in it, there were other children running around everywhere. So there was the potential of additional fatalities with the reckless actions of this particular officer.
Was anyone arrested? Was there any report of an actual crime taking place?
No.
We have no report of any arrests. There's no guns recovered. There was certainly no alcohol or guns involved in the vehicle that Jordan was in. And actually, I have to backtrack that a bit. The occupants of his vehicle were briefly arrested and detained. His brother and his companions that night, when they flagged down the police to get help for Jordan, they were all arrested. But they weren't charged, and they were held overnight, and they participated in an internal affairs investigation. But they were ultimately released.
So what do you have now this morning in terms of the mood of the area and the town and the people who are reacting to this?
I think that at this point in time, there's at least some sort of optimism, because historically we've seen these issues arise and we couldn't get any answers. We couldn't move forward. Law enforcement wanted to continue with a false narrative. And under these circumstances, the fact that, within approximately 2 days, we've got the ME ruling it a homicide and the police chief retracting his statements, I think that people are starting to feel like there may be a chance for justice for Jordan in this particular case.
Nevertheless, community, as the family, we're impatient about one thing. Now that the false narrative has began to erode, and there seems to be no justification for the shooting, any other citizen who takes the life of another citizen will be in handcuffs by now. So we're calling for the immediate arrest of this officer, unless there's some other facts that we don't know about, and we're certain that there is no justification for the shooting. There's no reason why this officer should still be on the street.
All right, let me get one final question here. What would you describe as the relationship between Balch Springs police officers and the town itself?
There's a long history of racism, in short. So I don't believe that there was any hope that anything was going to be done that would be satisfactory. So I do feel as if, the citizens feel as if maybe this is a turning point. They do have an African-American female mayor. I don't know how much the dynamic had played into this situation, but I do believe that most people are hopeful that it didn't take, 6 months for us going through protests and things like that for us to actually get some sort of traction in this case.
And I do want to add, the police chief took a very bold step in, frankly, deviating from the standard routine of justifying the indefensible. And so it was bold for him to come forward and say, the narrative that we put out at first was in fact false. And I've spoke with the chief on several occasions at this point, and I do believe he has a sincere desire to do what is right. I think that desire is framed in a culture where police brutality is more acceptable than it ought to be.
All right, I want to thank you both so much for chatting with us this morning. S. Lee Merritt, Jasmine Crockett, attorneys handling this tragic case in Texas. We appreciate it. We're going to hope that things come together in the way you described. Let's get to our panel. Brandon Cooper is chairman of the Prince George's County Republican Party. Dr. Avis Jones DeWeaver is leadership and strategist and author of How Exceptional Black Women Lead. And Joel Payne is a Democratic strategist and VP for Corvus MSL Group, former director of African American paid media and advertising for the Hillary Rodham Clinton campaign. Let's talk about what went down. And are you satisfied with what you heard from the attorneys?
Satisfied means too early to say. I think he's right when he said that the police officers should not be on the streets right now. From what we know, there's no justification for this. And so I definitely, we want to wait and see. I know we see too many of these happening. Eric Gardner, for instance, or Freddie Gray, where charges come and nothing comes out of it. And so I'm hopeful that this changes in this situation.
Absolutely. That's what I fear. I mean, it is good that at least there was some video footage here that was able to sort of uncover the lie that was initially told by the police officer who was guilty of this shooting. Now we have to see if justice will actually come, and quite frankly, I'm not very confident about it.
So often in these cases, there's sort of a fog of war, if you will. You're not sure exactly what happened. You can't really see. There's the idea that the person involved has a long criminal record, all of these things. None of that is the case this time around.
Yeah, and what's bothersome to me is that we always use that record as an excuse for behavior, right? I mean, it's wonderful that this young man was a wonderful student and was revered in his community and loved, but in reality, it really doesn't matter, right? If he was someone who was wayward, had trouble, you still deserve basic humanity and you still deserve basic decency. And so that's obviously what we hope for. We hope for justice.
A peaceful protest turned deadly. 37-year-old black man was shot and killed by Baton Rouge police. Your hands are in the air and you still get shot by the cops.
Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
We're not gonna let hate define us.
Race is a big part of this.
If truly all lives matter, then all lives need to matter equally.
What we require is action. What we require is accountability. We understand that black lives do matter, and we will keep focused on this issue.
NewsOne Now, every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.